Friends and colleagues, please welcome IEEE PES T&D Conference and Exposition Director, Joe Sohula.
Good morning and welcome to sunny and beautiful Anaheim for the 60th IEEE PES T&D Conference. I hope everybody had a fun time last night. I saw a lot of you. Good time? Some of you moving a little bit slow. I think some of my favorite memories were the lines of engineers to take pictures with Cinderella and Mickey Mouse. And yes, I was in that line, but it was for my granddaughter. So we've got a great week planned for all of you. We expect to have more than 13,000 attendees from 70 countries. And once again, we have just an incredible technical program. It's what truly sets IEEE apart in the industry. 6 super sessions will feature titans and leaders from our industry. They'll tackle some of the most pressing issues that we're facing. And our technical tours will allow attendees to visit nearby local sites. Long Beach, which is a near zero emission port, state-of-the-art substations. They can go see batteries and storage. Obviously, this state is way ahead of everybody else. So we've also looked to the future. We've got solid student programs, collegiate programs. So if you see some really, really young people and you're feeling old, they are really young. So, and all of this will take place in the backdrop of the largest exhibition hall, the T&D Utility Exhibition Hall in North America. So it is massive. Wear comfortable shoes. You're going to do a lot of walking. Our theme is Accelerate the Grid of Tomorrow. Very fitting given the difficult transformation that lies ahead of us as we enable the clean energy transition. It's also appropriate after many years we've returned to California, the state leading the transformation in our country. I recently heard a utility CEO say that the transition that we're embarking on isn't a moonshot. He said, we've already done that. This is like going to Mars. It's truly the challenge of our lifetime. And it's going to take all of us working together to make that happen. When I reflect on my experience at IEEE conferences, I think the most valuable opportunity for all of you this week is networking. Really believe that. Utilities are one of the only creatures, the industries that don't compete. And yes, we're competitive. I know there's vendors here that compete, but when all this stuff gets put in and serves customers, the utilities care about reliability, but they also care about the country, and they share. And we talk about what works, we talk about what doesn't work, and when our neighbors are in trouble, we send resources, we roll trucks, we restore power. So we just have a great opportunity to learn from each other. So this week, I'd ask you to talk to somebody from SCE and ask them how they're integrating so many renewables, how they're dealing with an onslaught of electric vehicles. If you see someone from ComEd, ask them about their industry-leading reliability and how they achieve that. Maybe ask somebody from Dominion about the massive, massive data centers they're connecting and how AI is impacting them. I guarantee you'll learn something, and you'll likely make a connection with somebody that can help you. Now for my pro tip of the week, free lunch every day at noon on the exhibition floor, right? Yeah. And I know you're all saying, Joe, nothing's free. I'm telling you, it's free. It's free, so get down there. Lastly, and most importantly, there are a lot of people who volunteered a lot of time. And we call them the local organizing committee. Most of them are in the front row. You'll see them today in dark blue shirts. Most work at Southern California Edison, National Grid, G&W, and I can't forget Anaheim Utilities, which is the local muni here. They've helped as well, so they've done an incredible job. It's my pleasure to introduce the chair who led this wonderful team and effort. And I'd also, before he comes up here, I'd like to congratulate him on his recent retirement from SCE. So please join me in welcoming the conference chair, Eric Takayeshu.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is so good to see everybody here this morning. So on behalf of the local organizing committee, I just want to welcome all of you to the conference that I think is going to be the conference, I know is going to be the conference of the year. I hope everybody had a good time last night. I mean, I certainly did. I thought Disney put on a really amazing show for everybody, and hopefully you can tell your friends about it to get them to the next conference 2 years from now. As this year's chair, I'm really thrilled to be part of such an amazing effort here to get many thought leaders gathering in one place that represent our industry that is going through a significant amount of challenge today. So I want to, if we could scroll a little bit down into my thing, thank you. So I want to thank everybody involved in this effort. Joe talked about the local organizing committee, and I will say that these are folks that have worked tirelessly on every detail in this conference, between the technical tours, the program, as well as the reception last night. So, you know, they've been working tirelessly since the conference in New Orleans 2 years ago. And I think just my hat's off to just how hard they've worked and have delivered on this thing. This conference also has, in addition to what Joe mentioned, besides the 13,000 plus folks that are registered here, we also have over 800 companies that are exhibiting on the exhibit floor, which is phenomenal. And I think that's also a record for this conference. And I do think that a lot of the sessions that you'll hear today, super sessions or a technical program, are really made up of industry leaders that are taking our industry to the next level as we journey through the energy transition. So it's also fitting that we're in Southern California, as Joe mentioned, where a lot of the efforts to lead to carbon neutrality are taking place. California has the largest economy in the country, and it still ranks 5th in the world. 1 out of 9 residences live in California, and it continues to be the most populous state in the country. So contrary to popular belief, not everyone's leaving the state of California. California also uses more energy than any other state except for Texas. But if you look at the per capita energy usage across residential and commercial, the per capita energy usage is lower than any other state except for the state of Hawaii. And a lot of that is due to the efforts in the state to reduce energy usage for all of our customers and all of the technology efforts involved. The state is also home to a very diverse portfolio of renewable resources across solar, battery storage, geothermal, hydroelectric, and biomass. California imports more electricity than any other state, between 1/5 and 1/3 of its total electricity supply. So we all know that also California has a very large footprint. So if you look at the West Coast, it stretches 2/3 the way up the West Coast. So transportation represents a very major share of the state's energy consumption, with more registered motor vehicles, miles traveled than any other state. And of course, we're best known for the weather, and I think this week is going to look fabulous. But even with that reputation for good weather, resiliency is still a major factor when we think about the design of the electric grid, given the challenges we still see with wildfires and increasing climate extremes. So it is no surprise that Southern California Edison continues to be at the forefront, leading our industry to net zero, planning and designing the grid for resilience, and doing so with safety, reliability, and affordability at its core. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Jill Anderson. Jill is a very dear friend of mine, my former boss, which makes a really good combination there, and an incredible leader in our industry to welcome all of you. She is the Executive Vice President and the Chief Operating Officer at Southern California Edison. She leads many of Edison's operations groups, including transmission distribution, power generation, customer service, engineering, safety and operational services, and is responsible for delivering safe, reliable energy to a population of over 15 million people in Southern California and across the 50,000 square mile service area. Previously, Jill was the Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer at the New York Power Authority, where she directed all wholesale and retail operations, including market operations of NYPA's generation assets. And she started her career at Consolidated Edison Company of New York, leading teams responsible for natural gas and electric operations, the redesign of the distribution system to integrate new technologies, electricity and natural gas procurement. Jill serves on the board of directors for the National Safety Council. That's a nonprofit safety advocate that strives to eliminate the leading causes of preventable death and injury in the workplace. And she serves on the board of directors of the Catalina Island Conservancy. She received a Bachelor of Science of Mechanical Engineering from the Boston University and has a Master's of Business Administration from New York University. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Jill Anderson.
What matters most? Being there. Before they need us. Whenever they need us. For everything they don't yet know they need us for. From sunrise to sunset. Through roaring winds and falling snow. From north to south. Big moments or small. Born from the itch to make a difference. Powered by ideas. Fueled by technology. Driven by grit, hustle, and downright determination to be better every single day. It's who we are. It's what we're here to do.
Good morning, everyone. So you saw about a minute summarizing what's important to us at Southern California Edison, which is being there for our customers. And I want to start my welcome by thanking all of you for being here, for taking the time, for traveling, for bringing your energy, your talent into this incredible event, because it is an amazing time for our industry. I like to describe it as a time of convergence, because there are multiple powerful forces that are coming together at the same time, challenges that are layering on top of each other that are making it harder for us to achieve the clean energy goals that we have here in California, that they're across the country, that are around the world. But at the same time, converging with those challenges, we're seeing the maturing of advantages, of new tools, of the solutions that can help us solve this problem. And we, all of us here, the engineers, the designers, the suppliers, the entrepreneurs, there are investors, there's students, we have a front row seat to this amazing transition of our industry. We also have a hands-on role in shaping the arc of where we are going and the speed of that progress. But we can't talk about progress without first acknowledging what some of those challenges are. And I'm going to share the 3 that I think about the most. The first one, which you're going to hear a lot about whenever you're in California, is the weather. Now, I admit it's really unfair for someone living in California to complain about the weather, but as Eric mentioned, even here, we are seeing more and more extreme weather. We're seeing hotter summers and harsher winters, stronger winds. A tropical storm came through Southern California and flooded parts of our service area. This extreme weather is threatening the safety of the communities that we serve. It's making reliability more challenging for the electricity that our customers depend on to power their lives. And it's requiring us, all of us, to make a lot of investments in hardening the infrastructure. Now, the second challenge that I would talk about is load growth. It's an opportunity, no doubt, utilities like load growth, but it's a challenge at the rate of load growth that we are experiencing now. In 20 years in this country, it's the fastest load growth that any of us have seen. We have major customers that are adding super centers and distribution centers, data centers. We've got customers that are asking us to put extra megawatts of capacity at existing locations, and not 5 years from now, they want it at the end of this year. We've got rows and rows of fast EV chargers and customers that are electrifying their medium and heavy duty fleets. The residential home builders in California, just in SCE's service area, are projecting that they are going to build 40,000 new homes, which is 10% more than they connected in our service area just last year. And I think that's more evidence to Eric's point that not everyone is trying to leave California. But whether you live in California or anywhere else, the third challenge is one that we all feel acutely, which is affordability. A full 1/3 of SCE's customers are qualified under our low-income programs. And if you look today at how many customers are behind in their bills, it is staggering. 45% of residential accounts are overdue by more than 2 months. At SCE, it's almost $900 billion of overdue electric bills right now. Customers are suffering. They are struggling to keep up with electric rates and bills that have risen faster than inflation. And at the same time, we need to make all these investments to make the grid more resilient, to deal with all this load growth. Now, it's a pretty depressing way for me to start out my welcome. But I talked about convergence, this special moment where the same time that we are feeling the pressure of all of these challenges, we are seeing a light in front of us with the maturity of some really important solutions. I'll talk about the tools that are available now. I am sure we're going to hear a lot about automation and AI in the conversations over the next few days. I'll give you an example. A plant supervisor at one of our power plants just earlier this year, with no computer science background, wrote a computer program using a generative AI tool that we make available internal to Edison, was able to automate a collection and analysis of emissions data and cut out over 5,000 hours of man-hour time every year. That would not have been possible for him to do without some major IT project just 1 year ago. That tool by itself is going to open up opportunity for us to solve some of the most challenging problems without having to add a bunch of costs for our customers who are already burdened. The second advantage is one around risk management. I would argue that most of our engineers at SCE now have a new expertise in risk management and risk prioritization that wasn't part of the job description just 5 years ago. All of that extreme weather has required us to think differently about where do we put every dollar? How do we stretch the value of that customer dollar so that we are maximizing the reduction of risk and improving the reliability for everyone? At SCE, we've installed hundreds of high-definition cameras, thousands of weather stations. We've hardened the grid, doing it being thoughtful about the impacts to cost, and all of that collectively, we've been able to reduce the risk of a catastrophic wildfire coming from our system by more than 85% in just 5 years. This is possible, but it makes us have to think differently than most of us were raised in how we design and build the system. And the last advantage I want to mention is the customer. When I started at SCE in 2018, when I moved across from New York, I had the customer business directly under me, and we talked a lot about education and awareness. We needed to help our customers understand electric vehicles and see it was possible, get them to enroll in our demand response programs, keep encouraging rooftop solar. Well, fast forward to today, our customers are the ones pushing us. They're telling us they need that capacity because they've already bought the electric vehicles. They're enrolling in our programs and asking for more versions so that they can get their hot water heater or whatever else they're installing. The customers now, in that short period of time here, and I expect that's going to happen and mature all over the country and the world, they are running right alongside us in this race to reduce emissions. If we think about how these things converge and work together, I think we can see that this is such a special time. And at the center of all of that is you. It's your experiences, your talents, your connections, and I hope in all of your conversations today, in all of the sessions that you join, that you bring that you bring your heart, your talent into these conversations, because we have the opportunity today to solve some of these biggest problems, but it is going to take all of us with our diverse experiences and backgrounds and all of the very diverse areas that we serve around the world. Together, I truly believe that we are going to be able to build that clean and safe and reliable and affordable future for all of our customers. That's a future I can't wait to be in with all of you. And I'm going to welcome Joe back up to the stage to continue with the program today.
A few minutes ago, I talked about the importance and the value of networking. So I'll take you back about 13 years ago, and my CEO called me, and she said, "Hey, Joe, come here, I want to talk to you." So I went in her office, and she said, "I want you to put a team together, and I want you to build a microgrid. And I want it done in a couple of years." And I'm like, yes, this is going to be great, right? Going to do this? I left her office, and I said, oh, boy, how are we going to do that? Utilities just, don't do that kind of stuff. So I was really struggling. And at that time, 13 years ago, I was on the committee running the conference much like this for Chicago. And Shay, who I'm going to introduce to you in a second, was the technical lead. So she was putting the whole technical program together. So I said, Shay, can we go to lunch? I need to talk to you about how to get something done. So we went to lunch. And I explained to Shay I had this challenge, need to build this microgrid, we need to put a team together. And a day later, she showed up with a resume and said, I want to work for you. And when Shay works for you, many of you know her, you actually work for her. But that's a little bit of another story. So anyway, Shay came to work for me and did incredible things. We wrote grants to the government. We started building that microgrid, and they're continuing to add to it today. So it's been wildly successful. And I think the other thing, too, is we built this really, really incredible team. We brought in people from universities. We worked with Demir and the Quanta team. But we just grew this really big network. And many of those folks have moved on from ComEd. Some are there, but they're probably all through this room and real involved in IEEE. So a great success. So with that, I'd like to introduce my friend and president of IEEE PES, Shay Baramirad.
Good morning. There is always a danger you get introduced by your old boss. Welcome to the IEEE Power and Energy Society Transmission and Distribution Conference. I'm Shay Baramirad, and I'm honored to serve as your president of IEEE PES. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Joe Swoboda of Exelon, to Eric Takayesu and Dr. Manuel Avendano of Southern California Edison, and all the organizing committee for their tireless efforts in bringing together this remarkable event. Their dedication and commitment have been instrumental in shaping an agenda that promises to inspire, educate, and propel us towards a brighter future. This year's T&D conference is particularly special. We are celebrating 60 years of T&D. That's 60 years of convening the best and the brightest minds and expertise in the field of power and energy. 60 years of collaboration, innovation, and ideation. 60 years of charting the course for what the future of engineering and critical role we all play over the coming decades in transitioning our respective nations to a cleaner, more reliable, and more resilient energy future. This is a pivotal moment for our profession, and one can't stress enough the critical role we all play in our societies to address the defining challenge of our century, climate change. The climate crisis our world faces is real, and it will not be solved by itself. Climate change is also not some distant threat of the future, but persistent challenge. Addressing this challenge demands practical science-based engineering and energy solutions. Theory and debate will not solve the climate crisis, but I think we all believe that science and engineering will. That is why gatherings like this are very important. The knowledge we share here, the actions that follow once we leave, and the energy systems we will then help build will echo for generations. While we may sometimes discount the critical role we play, we should not. The power of engineers and our respective industries to innovate and lead the way towards a more sustainable future is clear. Consider this. A few months ago, we at PES commissioned a survey to better understand the public's perception of climate change, and especially the role of engineers in driving the solutions to combat climate change. The results were not only striking, but should inspire us throughout the coming days. 8 out of 10 people believe that failing to address climate change possesses a substantial threat for future generations. But here's what is more striking. Engineers are trusted more than anyone else to find solutions to achieving a clean energy future. Here's why that's exciting. This public confidence and support open the door to a unique opportunity for our organizations. Now, more than ever, we can be more vocal about the innovative work as engineers we are all doing to progress climate solutions, modernizing grids, developing clean energy, and a lot more. We are at the forefront of the rapidly changing technological advancements that impact everyone, from grid operators to manufacturers and to communities. By using our platform to communicate concrete examples of what engineers do to address climate change, whether that is constructing green buildings, monitoring environmental conditions, reducing electronic waste, or building the energy grid of the future, we can both educate broadly and move the needle forward with policymakers. As engineers, we are the architects of change, the visionaries who dare to imagine a world powered by renewable energy, efficient technologies, and resilient infrastructure. It is through our ingenuity, expertise, and tireless dedication that we have made tremendous strides in advancing clean energy solutions. From the development of cutting-edge solar and wind technologies to optimization of grid systems and energy storage solutions, our collective work matters now more than ever. But our work is far from finished. As we confront the challenges ahead, large and small, we must redouble our efforts and push the boundaries of innovation even further. We must embrace a holistic approach that encompasses not only technological advancements, but also policy reform, economic growth, stakeholder engagement, and community empowerment. We must speak loudly and proudly to the power of engineering to create a more sustainable, equitable, and resilient world. To think differently and embrace the new ideas that will fuel the exciting and positive change we know are possible. Or, as we will emphasize during this T&D conference, embrace the next generation of innovations. The time is now to unlock the power of our industry to solve the world's most urgent energy challenges. I, as I hope many of you are, am more optimistic about our world's future because of the people in this room. So, as we spend the coming days together, embrace the opportunity to learn and partner with some of the world's foremost experts and explore how next generation of innovations we will help make the grid of tomorrow a reality. Over the next few days, we will have the opportunity to delve into a wide array of topics, from the grid modernization and renewable integration to transmission rebuild, decarbonization, electrification, and more. We are not shy to say that this is the industry's best technical program and our largest show floor ever. And we have an incredible lineup of super sessions and technical panels.